hopefully my little clicker thing is going, but I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to tell you as much as possible here about DreamLeader. Okay, so really quickly, I'm going to give you a little overview of how the idea came about. So who here knows what MySpace is? I hope a few of you. Okay, great. So MySpace was a great idea. I'm going to move off. Oh, there's Tom. It was awesome. So he said, I'm going to build a profile about myself, and then I'm going to give everyone the ability to create their own profile. But what happened after a while is people would start to kind of make it look like crazy all of a sudden, and you couldn't find anything. And you'd go to one page, then you go to the next page, and then you're like, this is like crazy clutter, and I really don't know how to find people's content. Really felt disjointed. And it was a great idea to give people that kind of control and power, but a lot of times people didn't really want to deal with that, and they felt like it was unnecessary. And so, as you can see where I'm going with this, is Facebook said, great, we think this is a great idea, but, oh, there's a sweet little family up there, that's my wife. And they said, we can make you not worry about the layout, the design, things. We think the content is what's going to make it different. So no matter what you do, hey, PitchBreakfast, there we go, all right. We think the layout is not so much the problem, it's the content and putting it in the right spot. And they felt, Mark Zuckerberg and team, felt that they could provide the profile, the layout, and all the structure to give you what you wanted. So all you had to focus on was content, loading your pictures, loading your information. And so that is what we're doing here, but for companies. So my product here is DreamLeader Pro. Oh my gosh, I only have 3 minutes. And you would say, isn't that Yammer? No. So DreamLeader Pro is a project profile. It's not a personal profile. So every project you're building for your organization, for your team, essentially is on a standard layout. It's a standard template that we have designed to make it very easy for you to reproduce that, the next feature and the next feature and the next feature. So when you build one project, you have some folders, maybe your sequence of things. So you start with storyboards and you go to wireframes and then mock-ups. You may do that again for your next feature and your next feature and your next feature, but you'll see the content is changing. And so that's the theory behind what we're doing. And we feel like we could save teams a lot of time if they don't want to worry about designing Confluence pages or redesigning pages and it becomes cluttered. We want to handle all that for you. We also have a dark theme coming, so it's a little bit cooler looking here soon, but we'll get to that. So that is the concept of what we have developed. In 2020, we are in beta mode right now, in beta testing. So we are pre-revenue. We don't have any revenue yet, but we are working with people, product and services teams, between 5 and 50 employees, who typically have a project management software like Jira, Wrike, Trello, but are solely still using Dropbox, G Drive, and others before they've committed to a large enterprise-level knowledge management system. Is this making sense to everyone? I know this is really fast. I only have 1:48. Great. So we are a SaaS company. We do have tiers for pricing. It's annual pricing typically. And if you're a beta tester, it's 50% off for 1 year. So anyone interested, feel free to sign up, and it'll be free sign up. But once we commit over, it'll be 50% off until March 31st. So we are made of myself, which is the founder, my wife, and our 4 little kids. Is a partner, and then Prashant is our tech lead developer. And we used to have a partner, a good friend of mine. We have parted ways, so that is what we're looking for today. A business partner, early believer, and investor. And you would say, why us? So really quickly, we are all part-time right now. We're fully bootstrapped, so we're in actually a good financial position. We have little debt involved. We've been in it for the long haul. We've been open since 2018. LLC. We're fully committed for years, and we're slow trickle to a big stream. So we are profit first. We are looking, even though we are looking for investment, we are profit first. We are working to be very profitable very early on and grow that way. Some traction we have our MVP completed. We are in beta testing right now with many signups. Chance to take on, if you're interested, some of the big box knowledge management companies. So if you're kind of fed up with some of those guys, and you're like, man, I want to be a part of a company where we get to tackle this part of the industry, you get an opportunity for that. And we're sustainable with Fire. So we have been sustaining and building all along, and but we are excited. We know what we're doing to some degree, and we're excited about it. So we are looking for you. The pitch is we are looking for you to offer $40,000 for 25% of our organization. And that's it. Questions? Thank you.
Christine.
Hey.
So I like the idea a lot. I think that the space that you want to play in, there's definitely room for more knowledge management systems, and if you can do it in a way that's simpler than what's already out there, that would definitely be a good value proposition. Took a long time to get there. You were actually, I'd challenge you in the next one to go at it more from a B2B standpoint. You looked at the B2C customers and the MySpace and Facebook, but you're really a B2B company.
That's
so what's the problem in businesses, and how is your solution solving the problem within businesses? Would also like to hear what's the total addressable market. It's huge. So that would be something that would play in your favor. Also, your team, you talked about a little bit, but why are you the folks that are going to solve this problem? So how much experience do you already have within business? Why do you know this is a problem? What has the pain point been for you? Would be helpful. And I think you did a good job with your ask. That was very specific. The business model, you laid it out. It was real quick because you were pressed for time. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. What is the free version, and then how does that scale up? So how do you really attract, your go-to-market strategy? How do you attract people to come in, try it out, and then move up the chain in the business model?
That's great. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I like going after you. What she said was all perfect and stuff that I wrote down, and very specifically, I would get rid of anything that reflects kind of consumer social and stick with B2B content for sure. It is a big space. There is lots of room. So if I'm going to say anything that's slightly nuanced from what Angel said, I would say if you're going to carve out somewhere in this space, I think you have to make a clever and nuanced distinction between kind of three things. Knowledge management being slightly different than project management, being slightly different from product management.
That's right.
And there's classes of software in all of those categories and competitors in all of those categories, right? You get down to knowledge, you might be SharePoint. You get into project, you're certainly Jira. You get into product, you got AHA and all the other. So I think, a lot heavier on the B2B side. I think I would carve one of those spaces. I think you need to play in one place.
That's right.
For sure. I don't know enough about the platform to know which it is, but I would get really tight and concise there in the messaging. I agree with the team. I would say I had a little thing I was going to bring today, but my ADD got the better of me and I forgot. But essentially it was I don't think people are emphasizing enough in these pitches the team and why that group of people is the right and unique group of people to crack the problem, right? And so the problem statement also was a little bit missing for me, which you mentioned, which is great. So we'll get into the problem statement a little bit more specifically and emphasize the team as well too. The ask is really interesting. So I'm a big fan. My first few companies were all bootstrapped. We never raised any money. We just kind of, busted knuckles and eventually, were able to afford free coffee. And but it'd probably be better for you, so don't worry. And so I think that's unique. And so with your ask, what I would say is I'm glad you talked about what it is that you want and you put money to it, which is really important. But if you're really looking for a business partner, I would profile them. Who are you looking for, and what skills would they bring that you need, and how would that person be a unique addition to the team? What are you lacking?
Sure.
So
that's awesome. Thank you. That's great.
So since we have a couple of minutes, would you like to answer some more, give us a little bit more about the product from the the B2B space? What exactly, what problem are you solving?
That's right. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks you all for listening. Appreciate it. So now I can take a deep breath for a second here.
you're a good presenter, by the way. You're interesting
Yes.
to listen to, and you're connecting with the audience. So that's good. A lot of people don't. They just kind of, so that's all good. Just relax and
Try and error.
Yeah, it's all good.
So the problem we're solving, I've been in some form of software since 2008 out of college. And so I've been in some kind of BA, project manager role, and a lot of times it's like kind of an afterthought. There's like knowledge management space like Confluence or SharePoint or something, that always kind of was like a little bonus time to like clean it up, help someone manage that. And I've also been contracted to hire to help maintain for large clients to do the exact same thing, which is clean up our knowledge management, clean up our Jira, all this stuff. And you couldn't believe that someone's actually hiring tens of thousands of dollars a year just to like maintain a system. I like couldn't believe that. And I was like, I have a job just like cleaning up Confluence. And so I actually became kind of proficient in that, and I would start to do this in a somewhat templatized way, saying like, hey, I believe this is going to help everyone if we can all see the same thing over and over again, but your content's going to be different. And so I would start building these things like kind of in-house for these companies, and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for doing this. And I didn't get it right every time. I mean, there's a lot of times I would build it and be like, this sucks. And so that was like more training on the job. And so what I found, I was like, why is no one just like making this really easy where like a developer or designer could go in and throw their mock-ups or their builds in there, and they don't want to worry about designing all the time. Like sometimes project managers like me like love that, but a lot of times they just want to make sure it's in the right spot rather than just dumping it to one page. And so if we can build a system, is what I felt, if I can build a system that's enjoyable to not only like get your content in the system, but also in the right spot, they don't have to worry about designing anymore. They don't have to worry about templatizing pages and moving stuff around. And clutter was the big problem really in these systems. Like they would grow and grow and grow, and you couldn't find anything after a while. Everyone's like, I cannot find anything in SharePoint. I cannot find anything in Confluence. And I'm always looking for someone else's content. If I can find it in my own space, but I can't find it in anyone else's space. And if we can solve that problem, I really think it'll make people's lives a lot easier in organizations and help them discover new information across the organization. And right now, you go from one space to another in an organization, just across the organization, it's completely different. You cannot find the same thing. Even at a well-managed organization, it's still very hard. And so I feel like we are working to attempt to solve that problem. And we partner with, I'll stop here. We partner with Google Drive and Dropbox and all those things. So you'll see that we link out to those things. We're not competing with them. We're competing with Asana, Confluence, SharePoint, some of those others, Notion, where they jam everything together, but we're doing it in a meticulous way. We're focused on knowledge management only right now. So you can still use your Jira, but you may not want to use Confluence. You can still use Wrike or Trello, but you may not want to use some of those others. And we feel like we're going to grow to solve that problem better and better.
That's great. What about customer acquisition? How do you plan to get folks on your platform?
Sure. My beachhead or target market is small organizations between 5 and 50 people. So it can be product services or client services or product companies. So companies that are building software for others or even your own product company. So it's a huge market. I mean, it's a pretty big beachhead, but small organizations that are startups or even startup incubator teams in large organizations. A lot of times they want to use faster software. They don't want to use heavy Confluence. They want to move quickly. So they're using things like Jira or even Paper to do their sprints, and they need a place to put all their content really quickly. So it's kind of the knowledge management side to Trello. So if you've used Trello before, it's really lightweight and we want to move quick. But this would store all your content very easily, whereas we are not Jira. We're not doing project management, task management. We are holding all your meeting notes, your timelines, your files, all that stuff in an understandable, easy to find way.
As we run out of time, I just want to point you in a couple of directions because it sounds like you've got obviously I can tell you got good knowledge of the space. You've been doing this for a long time. I've been in software since before you were born, unfortunately. And so I think there's 3 things missing just to give you something to think about. Sure. The first is the problem statement is not that these systems are either too flexible or, in my opinion, that that they have feature problems. The problem statement is that most organizations lack the organizational discipline to use them properly.
That's right.
So there's 3 emerging classes of software that I think can become features in this class, which is really gives you the chance to have real competitive or differentiated advantage. The first is going to be machine-driven notifications.
That's right.
These systems don't remind us to do things like other really good systems do. That's one. The second is in-context help. Think of like Appendo or something that drives you to, while you're in the experience, to do the right thing.
Yep.
And then third, I think one of the big opportunities, you said you made tons of money, which is great, contracting, cleaning this up. That to me begs for real-time chat support or help.
For sure.
Provide in the context of the platform real-time help to be able to give people a way to both remind them and also drive them and support them in the process of using the software effectively.
That's right. And one thing I'll just tack on, I got 35 seconds, is that if you can build the template, if you can start to standardize some things, and there may be different pages for other things down the road, but if you start to standardize things like Facebook, let's use that as an example, you can then put apples to apples, and that's how you can get into AI, machine learning, all those things, because now you can compare those projects to projects, and so now you can start to automatically present things to people to help them, as opposed to say, like, without controlling them and things like that. It's their data, those things, so we can now compare apples to apples, whereas Confluence SharePoint, you can't really easily use AI and machine learning because every space is different. They can tag certain things, people can tag, but we're doing all the tagging for you. We do it all for you because we can standardize that for you, and so you're just focused on your content, your delivery, your methodology. Yep.
All right.
Cool. That's it. Thank you all.